regular season for the Georgia Gym Dogs is over, and now the real work begins. Their quest for an unprecedented third national championship in a row. Stay tuned, the Inside Scoop is coming up.
And the Dogs' deed is done. What can I say? They were the best. They really stood out. They put it all together when it counts, and that's what the sport's all about. What a routine.
And that just may do it for Georgia here tonight.
Wow.
The Gym Dog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Yocklin. Welcome to the Gym Dog Show. With me today is Associate Head Coach Jay Clark, and we're going to do something different in today's show. We're going to take a look at our teams on the events vault and uneven bars going into the SEC Championships. We have a couple weeks off. We're in the gym today filming for the show, and we want to just reflect back on the entire season, how our team has done on the vaulting and the uneven bar event. And then next week, we'll come back with a focus on balance beam and floor exercise. We haven't been healthy all year. We haven't had our top lineup from top to bottom on every single event in a single competition yet this year. We started at the beginning of the year with Courtney Kupets out of floor and vaulting because of problems with her foot. Kelsey Erickson got hurt in the second competition of the year and was out almost the whole middle part of the season on everything, and it's just now coming back to 3 events. So we are looking forward to getting everybody healthy and getting back on board and getting ready for the SEC Championships.
Right, and the rest that we're getting right now couldn't have come at a better time, really, in retrospect. To have a little bit of time off before we go into SECs is really going to take the edge off of some of those nagging little injuries that have kind of prevented us from being at peak form.
So to start out today, we want to look at the vaulting event, and we are currently ranked #1 in the country on vaulting, and we've been #1 on vaulting the entire season.
Right, and I think the biggest thing about vaulting that jumps out at you in terms of what we've done as a team is we're not landing as well as we'd like to land, and we haven't done that all year long. But the difference between our vaults and many of the vaults that we've seen as we've gone around the country and competed is just the sheer amplitude and execution from the board to the table and in the air, and how much bigger and better executed vaults they are, with the exception of the landing. So if we can nail those landings down here in the next couple of weeks, I think it really offers us an opportunity to separate ourselves even further on that event.
That's right, Jay. Well, let's take a look first at the first 2 girls up in the lineup, and we've been going back and forth all year between Megan Doolin, a junior on our team who does a Yurchenko full, and Marcia Newby, a freshman who does a Yurchenko half front layout. And both of those girls are scoring in the 9.85 to 9.9 range, doing good vaults, but both struggling with that landing.
Absolutely, and they've both shown that when they do land, they can go 9.9. Megan's done it at NC State. Marcia's done it 2 or 3 times herself this year, but when they land those vaults, they're big vaults, they're beautiful vaults in the air, and when they land them, they're capable of going 9.9, and that's what we really need in that first and second spot in the lineup to really kind of set the pace.
That's right. Now, Megan does have the experience of competing last year at the NC2As on vaulting and starting us out with a big score and a stuck vault first up, so she has that experience. And Marcia, on the other hand, is doing a different vault from anyone else in our lineup, and we like to show, you know, some different types of vaults. So they both have some pluses, and we'll be going with one of those 2 girls first up at the SEC Championships.
Coming back from an injury that really took her out for a good chunk of the season, probably half the season, is Kelsey Erickson, and most people would think off the top of their head they'd expect to see her later in the lineup, but really, as good as our vaults are, she's going to probably be in that second hole, maybe third at the deepest as we go into championships, and that's an incredible vault to have that early in your lineup.
It really is, and yesterday in an inter squad, she just nailed 3 in a row that were absolutely beautiful, and just like Megan, she has the experience of not only last year, but a couple years of doing well at the championship. She's a gamer, and we love to have Kelsey, and if we have her in the early place on vaulting, you know, that could set up some of our other scores. And, you know, talk about depth, 3rd in the lineup will be Courtney Kupets.
Absolutely.
And, wow, I mean, that's a big vault to have 3rd in your lineup.
Sure it is. We have 2 of those vaults, and they're both done by the Kupets sisters, the round-off entry, half-turn, front pike. And it's just it's a nice change of pace. You get away from, you see so many Yurchenko fulls done in college gymnastics now that it's almost become a compulsory vault. To mix it up, and you mentioned Marcia has a little bit of a different vault and a blind landing. We also have 2 of these vaults, Courtney and Ashley, that will come later in the lineup, and it's nice. We try to split them up, and you really get a good variety throughout our lineup. It's just a nice change of pace.
Well, fourth in the lineup, Jay, will probably be Katie Heenan, and Katie has been the gymnast on our team who has stuck the most vaults this year, and she has been ranked in the top 5 in the country almost the entire season. She does the Yurchenko full, but she knows how to land it.
Absolutely, and it's huge. It's not a little Yurchenko full that has no choice but to land. It is one that she blasts off the table and really just has a great awareness, the best awareness in terms of her landing of anybody on our team right now, as you mentioned, and we expect her to continue that all the way through the championship.
Now, Katie was unable to compete in the Michigan meet on vaulting, and I know we mentioned this earlier. We scored a 49.5 in Michigan. It was our highest score of the year on vaulting, but there's been 6 times during the regular season that our team has scored 49.4 or higher on vaulting, and that does make it our strongest event. So, you know, Katie is a big part of that. And in the 5th position in our lineup will be Ashley Kupetson. She sure had a big meet last week against Michigan.
Yeah, to get a 10 on senior night, just what a special moment that was for her. We put her last up, and it was just a great celebration of her career here to have her be able to do that on her last competition in Stegman Coliseum, and just a really exciting moment, very emotional moment for everybody.
It was awesome. I mean, she was crying, the team was crying, everyone was crying. I know you talked about that last week in the show, but you know, here it is again, Ashley Kupetson's perfect 10, and that'll be something that she'll remember the rest of her life. And her sisters had one too, so as a family, they have a lot of exciting moments and a lot of great memories. In that 6th position, Tiffany Tolnay.
Right, and Tiffany's just probably the most powerful vaulter in the nation right now, particularly when she does the Yurchenko 1.5, which is what we anticipate her doing as we get into the championship part of the season. Really has earned that spot of being our anchor position over the last 2 years, and it's just the biggest vault in the country, hands down. I don't see anybody getting the kind of amplitude that she gets off the table. I mean, it's just enormous, and when she lands it, it doesn't matter whether it's the full or the 1.5,
right.
It's going to score.
And you can see here, she's doing both vaults. You see the 1.5 that she did at the beginning of the season, just beautiful in LSU, Arkansas. A couple times at the beginning of the year, she was really doing beautiful 1.5s, and now at the end of the season, she's been working on the full. If she does make it to finals, she has to do 2 different vaults, so she's been able to compete both vaults during the season and will be ready for finals if she gets in there. So the full, as you can see, is a great vault too. We do hope, though, that we get that 1.5 back from Tiffany, because that separates her from the rest of the country.
The Jim Dog Show.
Ask Suzanne, brought to you by McCarr Homes. And this week's question is, what will the Georgia team's rotation be at the SEC Championships? And the answer is, we don't know yet. It's a random draw at the site 1 day prior to the SEC Championships. That's Ask Suzanne, brought to you by McCarr Homes.
Well, next, let's take a look at the uneven bars, where we've been consistently ranked 2nd all year long, just behind Florida. And really, it's probably been, towards the tail end of the season, a very consistent event for us. But in the early goings, a little bit up and down, where we started the season with a 49.5, and then we kind of went some low 49s there with Arkansas.
Well, you got to remember, we lost Kelsey right there, too. You know, the second meet of the year, one of our top people on bars was out of the lineup. So.
That's true. And so we really didn't get to go with our top lineup until the Utah meet. And that was when we first started getting everybody back in. And then, of course, with Michigan, with Katie being out. So, and the other part, too, to some of that inconsistency is the double fronts that we did early in the season.
Right. We
were having a hard time with those blind landings, and they're just now starting to get really consistent. And that's Tiffany and Katie, and now Kelsey also back in the lineup. So there's 3 double front type landings where the landing is blind, and it's just a matter of numbers, and they're getting the numbers in now so that the landings are getting more and more consistent, and we should be able to hit with the same kind of form that we've had the last 2 years in the championship portion of the season.
I think you're absolutely right, Jay. The only reason I feel that we are 2nd in bars, ranked nationally in bars in the country versus first, is the landings on the dismounts. And I have to brag on you a minute, because our handstands by far are the best in the country. Jay really hammers that skill in practice, and you can see that all of our girls are at the vertical position almost every single routine. But those judges, you know, it's that last impression, that landing on that dismount, that has hurt us quite a bit in terms of our potential every week. Let's start out with first in the lineup. Who will that be at the SEC Championship?
Well, it should be Nikki Childs, and really
I agree.
With her line and her execution in terms of her handstands and her pirouette work, it's a great starting routine for us. She does a nice, beautiful 1.5 to a ginger in between the bars, which kind of is a unique skill combination that you don't see an awful lot of. She does end the bar routine with a giant full double tuck, but if she sticks that landing, it should start us off with a 9.85 or higher, and that's really where you want to be in that first hole.
And, you know, like you said, she does just dismount with a double tuck, but she meets the requirement. That is all that's required. So the judges have to judge execution, and if she does it well and sticks the dismount, she can score just as high as someone with a harder dismount as long as she executes well. And I love Nikki's routine. Second in the bar lineup.
It's going to be Tiffany Tolnay in all likelihood.
Tiffany?
It's just because of the difficulty that she has in the routine. She's moved from third, where she's been since she got here as a freshman. Probably going to put her in the second hole, not so much because of anything she's doing, but because Grace Taylor has really come on and really kind of separated herself a little bit in terms of being able to execute her routine to the level that she has. So Tiffany's a great routine to have in the middle, huge amplitude on a Jaeger. She has 2 D releases. She has a double front dismount, which is an E dismount, and everyone from this point forward in the routine in our lineup has an E-level dismount, which is very important.
It is, and I agree with you. I mean, I think Tiffany's routine is beautiful. She executes better than almost anyone in the country. But Gracie, you know, what can you say about Grace? She's sticking dismounts week after week after week. She's scored a number of 9.9s or higher, and she's ranked in the top 10 in the country. So when you think about, oh my gosh, you know, Tiffany Tolnay second, Grace Taylor third in the lineup, again, we have an event here just like vaulting where we are very, very deep right at the beginning of a lineup.
And in the beginning, even with the first 3 routines, you see such a variety of skills when you go from Tiffany's perfect handstand work and good pirouette work, and then you get into Grace's routine where she shows the Stalters front and back, and she's got a unique release move in the Comanche. It's just, we show a wide variety of skills, and so 1 through 6, you're going to see a little bit of everything in our bar lineup.
Right, and that moves us to number 4 in the lineup, which is Katie Heenan. And her routine is similar to Tiffany's. She has the Jaeger and the double front dismount. She showed last year at the national championships that she can hit the position. She can hit the handstands, and the judges really rewarded her for that last year, scoring 9.95 and being first-team All-American. She has 1 new skill on the low bar this year, but she's been solid. She's been consistent. Except for sticking that dismount. So hopefully at the SEC Championships, Katie and Tiffany will find those blind landings and nail those dismounts we so much need to get a big bar score.
And with Grace, you see the Stalter work, and you go to Katie, and Katie's doing her blind change from a toe on and off to handstand. So different in-bar skills, but again, a variety that you haven't seen in our lineup until that point.
And 5th in the lineup, Kelsey Erickson. You know, we haven't had her in there. She came back to compete in a couple meets since her injury and has fallen. So we really have not been able to capitalize on our top bar lineup and top bar scores yet. And, you know, hopefully that will happen at the SEC Championships. But,
well,
you know, Kelsey's got a great routine.
Right, and everybody certainly knows what Kelsey's capable of doing on the uneven bars. 2 major releases, a dismount that is textbook when she does it correctly, and sticks it in finishing second 2 years ago at the NCAA Championships to Taryn Humphrey. We all know the quality of bar routine that Kelsey can do. It's a little more of a traditional bar routine in the sense that it has 2 major releases, not a lot of the unique type skills like you'd see with Grace, but what she does, she has 2 major huge releases and then the big dismount, and it should be one of our anchor scores in our lineup.
And really, if you look at the lineup, it's just building and building and building. You know, Grace and, you know, starting with Nikki, who's got the form and execution, and moving into Tiffany, and then Grace, and Katie and Kelsey, and finishing with Courtney Kupats, you know, one of the best in the world.
Right, yeah, and then she's the one that got the 10 earlier this season on the uneven bars, and probably the most legitimate 10 that I've seen in a long time in college gymnastics. About halfway through that competition or that routine, I ceased being a coach and became a fan because you knew you were witnessing something just exceptional there, and it's just been a joy to watch her take this new routine by the horns and really get to a place where she's just about mastered it every time, and it's been a wonderful progression to see her do this and to do bars at a really world-class level in college gymnastics. It's really fun to be a part of.
And, you know, what that means to all of you is that she's doing so much more difficulty that's required to have a start value of 10 and executes it so perfectly. And what was great about the perfect 10 score she got in competition was that we see that routine in practice all the time, and we knew it was in her body. And just to see her be able to, you know, hit a routine like that in competition so everyone in the country could witness it, it was a great moment for all of us and a great moment for college gymnastics.
My name's Alexa Montalbano. My name's Claire Hillis. And we like to ask Cody McCool what it's like to have a skill named after you.
Thanks for the question. It feels great to have a move named after me on my favorite event, balance beam, and to mount the beam with the McCool is just the best feeling in the world. I feel on top of the world, and my coach came up with the move, and I've been doing it since I was little, so it's a great feeling. I'm on top of the world.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Ashley Kupets, one of the seniors on our team, and as you know from last week's show, she got the perfect 10 on senior night, last up on vaulting. How was that, Ashley?
That was just fantastic. I can't even explain. I don't know. I just dropped to the floor. I couldn't believe it. I never thought I would get a 10. I really didn't, ever. So it was like the coolest thing in the whole world.
It was so cool. You know what's really cool is that's the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to start out and build scores, and that's what happened in that competition. We had a couple 9-9s with people that took steps. So here comes Ashley, and she blasts one and nails the landing, and I think we were all jumping up and down going crazy because the stick was so obvious, such an obvious stick, but wow, the perfect 10. It's just, it was awesome. I saw you running down the sideline and high-fiving everybody.
That was fun. It was fun. All the girls were freaking out, and we were just excited because I finally stuck a vault, you know? I've been sticking in practice, but it hadn't transferred yet, and we had talked about it would transfer sometime, but I was just excited I stuck it, and I saw you hopping down the runway because I got a 10. I was like, no way!
It was great. We'll talk about sticking. You know, that's been one of our problems this year. We're #1 in the country on vaulting, but we have not been able to stick landings. You stick a lot in practice. Yeah. Katie sticks a lot in competition. But overall, as a team, we do stick more in practice than in meets. What's the deal there?
I have no idea why, but I think, you know, we have big, powerful vaults, and we get into the meets, and our adrenaline gets pumping, and, you know, the vaults get bigger. So when they get bigger, you know, everyone on our team, you know, it's a little bit more adrenaline, so they take that step or that hop that, you know, they don't have that adrenaline in practice, and it's easier to stick. But, you know, I definitely think even though we have those steps, we're #1 because our vaults are huge.
I think so too. I like the variety of vaults. I think that plays into it. And, you know, like you said, we did take a lot of steps, but it seems like that in the beginning of the season, everybody was sort of flying all over the place. But now we've settled in, and our steps are smaller, and it seems like to me that we're getting closer to a lot of sticks in one rotation. So hopefully we'll have that at the SEC Championships.
Definitely hope so.
Well, let's take a look now at this perfect 10 vault. As I said before, it doesn't happen very often, and it was a great day for Georgia Gymnastics and for Ashley Kupets. Well, now we're joined by Nikki Childs, who will be our starter on the uneven bars at the SEC Championships. Nikki's had a lot of experience this season going first up in this position. Last year, she was second in the lineup on bars, and she's an All-American on that event. So we feel pretty confident in her starting us out. And how do you like being first up on bars for Georgia?
Well, you know, being able to compete in the lineup is an honor all by itself. We have a phenomenal group of girls on this team, and it's an honor to be able to compete and to be able to start us off.
Do you have a lot of confidence just going out there and sticking that landing first up?
Yes, ma'am. Of course. You know, you want to start the team off right. You want to start it off well and be able to build on those scores. So being able to, you know, give her a good score is very important and very crucial.
It is, and you know, Nikki, you know everybody really loves and admires your toe point, your execution, your handstands, and you have a nice variety of skills in the routine. It really is one of the best routines in the country in terms of execution and composition. We absolutely love it. What's your favorite skill in that bar routine?
I would have to say when I nail my 540 and I end it right there, or for other people that don't exactly have the same terminology, my full and a half twist on top of the bars, and it feels really good when I nail that.
And you nail it often. You know what we're talking about? You see it in this routine a lot. It's that 1.5 pirouette, 540-degree turn on her hands, and should finish in the vertical position. And when she finishes it in the vertical position, she really gets a nice high Ginger release. So that's very important. If you do not finish that turn in vertical position, that is a deduction, because all turns should be completed in vertical. And again, that's one of the things that's so great about Nikki on bars. Well, what about the rest of the lineup? You feel like it's pretty strong? Whose routine do you really like on our team?
I think everyone has a very unique bar routine. Everyone's really, really different. Like Grace's release move, I'd never really seen that being performed before, so I really like Grace's routine. And Kelsey's having 3 release moves on the bars. It's really, really strong, and we've definitely missed her having her in the lineup during the season. So I think we're all ready to go. I think everyone's doing really well, and we're going to be ready to hit SECs.
We are ready. We're ready for bars at SECs. Go, Nikki. Routine of the Week brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center. And this week's routines of the week are the Coupette sisters as they both score perfect 10s during the regular season. Courtney on bars against Alabama and Ashley on vaulting against Michigan. That's Routines of the Week brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center.
Countdown to the NC2As brought to you by Melwood Springs, and the countdown begins this week as we go to the SEC Championship. The league's 7 teams will compete at one night as we aim for our 4th consecutive title in Little Rock's Alltel Arena. For tickets, call the UGA ticket office at 866-542-1231, and that's Countdown to the NC2As brought to you by Melwood Springs. Well, there you have it, kind of a comprehensive look at our vault and bar lineups throughout the season and what to expect for the championship part of the season. If we can just work on those landings on both of those events, those are going to be 2 great events for us as we go into championship.
And you know what I like about this team right now? We have not peaked. We haven't even come close to peaking. We have 2.5 weeks off before the SEC championships, and now we have a lineup established. We can get into a rhythm and hopefully develop a little bit more consistency, which is what we've been actually lacking, consistency in competition, because we haven't had a consistent lineup. So now that that's established, I think you're going to see this team really take off. We'll be back with you next week and take a look at balance beam and floor exercise in preparation for the SEC championships.